I've seen a lot of bankers, and I've seen a lot of cops. I've seen a lot of lawyers pull out all of the stops. I've seen a lot of children with their parents in their hands. I've felt a lot of women who refuse to understand. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. You see it in the papers, you read it every day. The riots and the fires going on in South LA. The muggers and the government, they're all wanting the same thing. They take you for your money and whatever else you bring. And I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. Take me. Guitar Players Planet. 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 Sunny skies, the smell of palm tree air. Looking back, I could never feel fair. The way the music has touched my soul, the way that the South holds its control. But I've got a new way to choose. I'm gonna start running back to the land of new. Oh, na lost, no ranger. Can I break this spell? If I do one thing right, do I may do two things wrong? If I walk that fine line, I will always take the fall. If I turn to the left, I can hear from the right. I sleep all day long, then I'm dreaming through the night. One day I might change.
Hi guys.
Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Welcome to AstroWorld, and we're running a little bit behind here. I apologize about. There we go. I can see it now. Okay, good. Because I got like a whole bunch of stuff going on here. Where's the water? There we go. So yeah, we're back finally. After a long hiatus, it felt like another long hiatus. For those of you guys that know, the hurricane and Isaiah, whatever your name is, I can't pronounce it. It came through the east and took out my house not my house, but my electricity for 5 days. That was a big issue. So after talking to obviously Jason and Eric, and Jason was having some internet issues, we decided to cancel the show, but we're back. I do have a couple of ranting things to go over my past 2 weeks. So you guys remember this?
yeah,
Yeah?
yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. What's missing?
All the good
Focus.
parts.
My focus is gone. So I'm setting it up and I'm getting ready, and my wife goes, "Hey Dan, I need to do something." So I get up and the thing rolls over on the focuser, snaps the focuser.
Oh man.
So I called Skywatcher. Skywatcher says they can't accept the warranty because I bought it overseas. I said, "Really?" I said, "Okay." So I complained, and now they're fixing it for free. So there we go. So that's one rant. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. We're going to talk about focusing and calibration frames. We got a lot of stuff to go over because we missed. There's something else broke too. We'll go over that later. I've been breaking a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, so we're going to talk about calibration frames and focusing. And I know Eric's got some new toys. I know I got some new toys. And Jason, you're waiting on a new toy or no?
No, I'm grounded. Unemployment's no fun.
He's grounded.
The only news I got is the stuff that I kind of posted on our Facebook group.
Yes.
With the imaging that I got done with the L Extreme. So that was a huge
that
move.
stuff looked great, man. I really want to get one. I looked at the price tag on it though. It was over $300, right?
I want to say it was 308.
309.
Yeah, 309.
309.
Yep.
Great for that though.
Just got mine today.
I'm telling you
You got
guys,
yours today?
I did
Yeah.
10-minute subs. Holy crap. This thing was amazing.
Yeah.
I've never pushed my mount past 5-minute exposures. I initially did 75 5-minute exposures. I thought I was good. I looked at the detail, was talking with Simon, and realized that we were seeing a fair amount of noise. Simon said,
Okay.
go to 10 minutes, see what it does. So I did 36 10-minute subs and got amazing images. Very little
Nice.
noise. Did a little bit of noise reduction in post. Taking it into Photoshop and running Topaz Labs. Holy
Yep.
cow. I'll pop that up later when we get some time. But it was well worth it.
Yeah, I heard some weird stuff about Topaz Labs, but I actually downloaded the demo of it,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I kind of got a funky results out of it.
I bought it because I do a lot of wildlife, and
Yep.
when you're doing low light wildlife, there's always noise. It's just what you're gonna have.
Yep.
So the big thing for me was it took all of that noise out without destroying the sharpness of my image, especially the new
Wow.
AI that has come out in the last 6 months to a year. It has been just about bulletproof. I mean, there are a few little issues here and there, but you just got to keep playing with the sliders until you get a look that you like.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I know Eric got the Fix-A-Flat.
Oh, wait.
The Spike-A-Flat. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. We had a little Freudian slip
So
before
sorry.
the show.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
sorry.
You're not going to get any calls from All Pro Software, that's for sure.
But yeah, man, that's an awesome flat fielder. So tell us a little bit about your new toy.
Yeah, so here it is. Let me grab it here. So if you guys can see, this is it. So this is the Spike Flat. It's just under $250, maybe about $240. It is a LED flat fielder. You can adjust the brightness even better than your typical, like say your $20 LED, Amazon tracer pads, but for $250, it better be a lot better. It runs off of DC power, so you can run it off of DC. It does come with an AC adapter as well. It comes with a nice little remote that you get to set different types of settings of dimness on it. And yeah, this is pretty awesome. TJ Conley has one, and he was raving about it. So I figured, why not? Let me give it a shot. And yeah, when I did my SharpCat smart histogram test, this was doing all of the did all the flats for me.
Nice.
And it was awesome. Beautiful flat fields. I mean, just marvelous. Let me see if I actually got some here that I can show.
So let me ask a question, because no, I don't use SGP for this, but you can. Is there an ASCOM driver for that, so you can change?
I believe there's an ASCOM driver for it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you can even manage this from ASI Air Pro.
Okay, so then you'll be able to manage it from SGP.
So I can deliver power to it, and there's even a spot even on the ASI Air Pro on the 12-volt settings, because it has the 4 DC 12-volt outlets.
Yes.
You can actually set one that is for your flat panel. So I've chosen that one. And
Nice.
there is software also that you can purchase for like another $140, where you can use your Windows PC and set up all of your filters and set all of your settings as far as the brightness of the flat panel.
Oh, no, that's cool. Yeah.
Every filter you have, and it's great. I'm going to order it. I'm going to get that software, and it makes things so much easier for like the new Alex Stream. I'm going to, I can be able to record the correct brightness for that and do nice 2-second, 3-second flats, and for every other flat filter I have. So that's pretty awesome.
That is awesome.
So that's pretty cool. But it gives you some really nice flat field, and I was really pleased. And this is the standard 11-inch square one. They do have a slightly larger one. I believe it's 16-inch for those larger aperture, like your RCs and your 14-inch SCTs and those types of scopes. So for this one was perfect for me, because I don't think I'll ever myself go bigger than that, but never say never.
Trust me, you'll go bigger eventually.
Yeah, I gotta get closer. I gotta get even a narrower field of view. But no, it's a great. It's fantastic. I love it. So yeah, I'm very pleased with it. So, and then like I said, I just got that. Dude, I went on a shopping spree this past week.
Past week, what else you get?
Oh, I got a new mount.
Oh, that's right. That's
Oh,
right. I
right.
forgot about the new mount. Yes.
Yeah,
I really
I
like
got
that
a new
thing.
mount. I actually went on. I sold my CGX.
Woohoo! I mean, aw.
And I actually purchased an Ioptron CEM60. What is that for?
Well, you sold your CGX.
Yeah.
Going down with the ship.
Yep. Sold the Celestron and got a pre-owned CEM60 for my Optron off of Cloudy Nights. And I tell you, even when I first got that thing, and I bought it with a tri-pier. They gave me a tri-pier. Solid as I couldn't believe. Easy to set up. I was kind of nervous going from switching from one brand to another.
Yeah, I know. the feeling.
Cake.
And it was so easy. I had no, it was so smooth. I actually, to be all honest, I wanted for my first mount anyway to get an Ioptron, but circumstances didn't allow me to do that at the time, so I ended up getting a Celestron. But I tell you, the way that RA in that deck, how smooth they are when you balance, it is sick.
Yeah, I'm sure.
How sensitive they are.
Yeah.
It is incredible. So, and my guiding, I think speaking of guiding, my guiding has been great with that. And I even got a new guide camera. I got a 290mm mini.
Oh, you got the 290, yeah?
Yeah, so I got the 290. What
Nice.
in the world are you doing?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I know you were seeing me. I thought you took me off.
Well, no, you're off the broadcast, but he can still see in Rendezvous.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah. Don't put me on the screen yet.
No,
Yeah.
I know better.
No. But no, that so I got the 290mm mini, and and I hooked it up to my guide scope. I was using my my William Optics 50mm, and I guess because the pixels are so much smaller than it is on the 120. My God, those guide stars
Like
just
razor sharp.
exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as how sharp they were, I was like, holy crap, this is going to be great. And with that Ioptron, I never got over 0.7 RMS error.
0.7,
I
yeah.
never got over 0.7. So
So that's awesome.
it was awesome. And to use that, so I'm really happy with this mount. In all honesty, the way I actually, go through stuff and and all this hobby, I'll probably end up selling it and getting a CM70. Because I want
I told you keep on saying not to go any bigger.
I want the extra 10 pounds.
Well, and there's more to it than that, because with the CEM70, there's two different versions. The one version is fully loaded for bear. It's got the Wi-Fi, it's got the polar alignment, it's got all the extra bells and whistles.
Yep, it does.
And then, sorry, Dan got up, made adjustments. Hit the wrong button. Oh, there's... Eventually I'll figure out this controller.
Well, we're going through a couple of things here. I'm going through a couple of problems here.
But if I had the money right now and I was working, I'd be saving up for 70. I'm actually looking at trying, probably in the next year, to try pulling down on a 70. Only because I want to take my 40 and make it my mobile mount. I was going to drop down to a CEM25P. But after talking with like TJ Connolly and Simon and you guys, it'll work, but it'll only work for the one scope that I'm looking to use it for right now. So I'd rather have a little bit of margin.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because I still have the AVX, but the AVX I can't use the Rasa with it. I mean, because I've got so much loaded on it, it's about 26 pounds with everything loaded on it. So, and the weight limit on the AVX is 30, but it's not true. But it's not a true 30.
Yeah.
No.
30-ish.
Yeah, I mean, because it's actually because if you were doing visual, then yeah, you could get the 30. But doing AP, you've got to pretty much be like around 20.
Yeah, they
Maybe
say
about
it's
20
about
pounds.
70% total load weight. So yeah.
Yeah. So the RASA will not work, being on that AVX. So I might, who knows? I might look at getting a 40 for the travel, and one day, and go for a 70 for the observatory, because I also ordered my pier.
There you go.
The Ioptron permanent pier. It has been ordered. It will be here sometime at the end of the month, I'm hoping. I've already,
2021.
I've already spoken to a concrete contractor, telling him what I want. So I've been on a spree.
Yeah, that's good.
Guess
That's
so.
good.
So yeah.
And you're still married, so that's
Yeah, I'm still married.
good.
He's gonna get buried with all the Astro gear, but
Yeah, exactly. So it's been a good time, and honestly, not as many clouds as I thought I was gonna get with all the crap I bought. So yeah,
So Steve Flanagan said you're gonna get the 120 the week after.
yeah, no kidding, right?
And then Mark said that's why he went with the EQ8R for the weight.
Yeah.
So I mean, EQ8R is a monster.
The CEM, I heard how light it was, but I just didn't believe it. That head weight is so much better than that CGX was. The CGX is about 55 pounds as far as the head weight goes, and the CEM 60 is only 30.
Yeah.
So I'm not breaking my back, moving that, trying to move that thing around. And the pier anyway, and I've got it on the tri-pier right now, so it's not going anywhere. But just to move it around, I mean, I was able to move the tri-pier with the mount out to the backyard without a problem, So I couldn't have done that if I did the CGX with its tripod. So
no, it is a huge difference.
That's crazy. Yeah,
it's a huge difference.
I got two friends. One has a CGX, one has a CGXL.
Okay.
They just say, "Oh my!" You're with the ergonomic handles, which when the head's that heavy, I don't care. The ergonomic handles don't do anything. I mean, I already have no upper body weight as it is, and there's no way I'm lifting that thing around.
Yeah. I think I almost threw my back out once moving the CGX around.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it, man. I think that's a monster, man. And that's one of those big selling points for the Ioptrons is that the weight compared to its payload, it's like nothing.
Yeah.
Yep, it is. It is absolutely. It's nothing, and I mean, that's what So I'm very happy with it because the 70 is only like another 5 pounds more than the than the 60 is.
Yeah, the actual physical weight.
Yeah, it's 5 pounds more.
Yeah.
So no, that'll probably be on next year's wish list or in a couple years. But the 60 right now, I can't complain. I'm really enjoying it.
Well, and I have to say thank you to you, Eric. One of the things I found out that you were doing that I didn't know I could do, and I almost bought the Wi-Fi dongle for my CEM 40, being able to use Sky Safari over my hardwired LAN is how I connect to my scope and ASI Air Pro. So I went in, did a little bit of recon, and figured out how to do the setting, and got that working perfectly. So
nice.
Thank you. So now I have control. It gives me a little bit more versatility. I'm still working. It doesn't quite understand the orientation because I don't have an auto rotator. So it had kind of a weird orientation, but at least it's going to where I need it to go, and it's tracking the way I expect it to. So that's a huge help. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And so like I said, I've got the EL Extreme. I'm gonna go outside after the show here and get it going. Got to get everything lined up and Who knows? I'm thinking I might go after the Pelican, kind of like how you did, Jason, or around Cygnus, the Cygnus wall, something like.
So the one thing I will say is the problem with Pelican is you're going to have a lot of red emissions nebula.
Yeah.
So you're not going to really see the shining capability of that extreme. You'll get a lot of detail in that hydrogen band.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get that punch like we did. Since we're talking about it, I'll go ahead and bring it up. There's my image. That's 36 10-minute subs. You guys on the Restreamio can't see it, or Rendezvous can't see it, but that's, to me, unbelievable. And so, I even took it a step further and did a side-by-side adding in the 5-minute subs. And, not an exact matchup because, of course, my alignments and things were different, but there's a 5 and 10-minute combo. So that's 111 exposures at 12 hours and 15 minutes of total exposure time versus the 10-minute, which was just 6 hours. Unflipping believable. I wish I could zoom in. Now, granted, I was using Topaz Labs to do a lot of the noise reduction to get rid of some of the faint noise, but the pinpoint sharpness with this was just phenomenal. Just blew me away. And I, because I came from the AVX, I was kind of hesitant because I'd never tried 10 minutes with that AVX. It's not tuned enough because I had mine stock. I didn't set it out to get tuned.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't feel comfortable trying to 10 minute sub. 5-minute subs, I was getting nervous. And it never let me down. It just wasn't bulletproof.
Right.
So, but this...
let's see, what did I do last night? I've been working on the Pelican Nebula, and I don't have any results yet because I just finished the second. I got 2 nights in a row. I was finally able to actually go to bed while my telescope was shooting without freaking out. So I waited for the meridian flip. I watched the meridian flip about 12:30, and I let it run all the way till about 4:30 in the morning while I was sleeping. Woke up at 5, brought it in.
It's such a nice feeling, isn't it?
It was great. I actually got sleep, and I was able to get. And you know what? I knew it wasn't going to rain. I knew the dew was going to be a problem, but I got the stuff to take care of that. But I mean, right now, my camera's in a freezer, doing darks because it was too hot outside at 5 o'clock in the afternoon to do darks because I couldn't get down to negative.
It's 108 and 35% humidity. It's how warm there.
Yeah, but your darks are only at like 20 degrees Celsius. I mean, you can't get any lower than that. That's your noise problem. It's not your camera, man.
It's the heat.
It's not the Topaz, man. It's the 150 degrees you got outside.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing because normally I try cooling to negative 10 Celsius, and there's just no way. Then never.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd make it.
I got down to 0.
I was gonna say 0, yeah, but
I got down to 0. When I set it to negative 10, I could get down to negative 2.3, and it went, no.
Yeah.
I'm at 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing was pegged, and it just couldn't do it. And I'm like, nope, back to 0. You're fine.
Yeah.
But like Simon was dealing with it, and for Simon, it's winter, so I mean he's dealing with cold temperatures. So it's not a thermal issue. So we're trying to figure out if it's the density of the wavelengths in the extreme, being at thicker wavelength, or if we're dealing with an inherent issue in just the way it's being imaged, which is part of why I went up to 10-minute subs.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm still seeing the noise even at 10 minutes, but not as bad as my 5-minute subs.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. It's probably a noticeable difference actually.
Yeah, so it was a market improvement. I haven't circled back with Simon. He's had his hands full there, so we haven't really talked since Tuesday. But my initial results coming back, I'm just blown away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've decided. Now I've chosen what I'm going to do. I'm going to go after the Soul Nebula.
Soul?
Yep, Soul should give you a nice one. The other one, I don't know about for you guys, but we're just starting to get glimpses of Orion again.
I just saw
Orion, not yeah.
Yeah.
Not here.
4 o'clock in the morning, maybe. You know,
Yeah, it's
5 o'clock in the
early in
morning.
the morning.
Yeah, it starts about 2:30. Give me about 2 images on Orion, 2 hours on Orion.
Yeah, because I'm able to see the Seven Sisters, at about 3 o'clock. They're starting to come around, and Taurus is starting to come around. So, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. All I know is when I see Orion, I just go like this, because as winter's coming. Winter's coming.
Yeah.
Me, I go, yes, Orion's here. It's gonna cool off and not be 115.
Yeah, it'll get down to 70.
Yeah.
Let's see, Steve and Mark wants to know why you can't get down to -10. He does.
Yeah. Well, he's special.
Steve Flanagan says imaging with the CCD, and I'll say, Steve, I think I'm the only CCD user here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I am, and I'm a dying breed. I'm telling you. But
CMOS,
on
baby.
that note, guess who came out with a brand new CMOS chip?
You.
Not chip,
Oh.
camera.
That's big.
That's big.
Came out with a CMOS camera. And they're keeping it red, so it looks like that they're going to try and compete with ZWO finally. So,
How are they competing price-wise, though?
well, they got. Let's see, the chip. It's a 12-bit camera. It's 4.5 pixels,
Okay.
if I remember right. Less than 2 read noise. Only 78% quantum efficiency, so it's not as good as some of the new ZWO cameras.
No. 'Cause we pushed
Um,
over 80.
What's that?
Yeah, because ours push over 80, 85.
80,
Yeah.
85.
I don't think they
90.
release a camera unless it can do over 85 QE.
Yeah.
Now, yeah. But you know what? But it comes with, it's a camera, 7 filter wheel, all LRGB and narrowband filters included, $3,400.
Not bad.
What's
Not bad.
that?
Oh,
Is that APS-C sized or?
Yep.
Okay.
yeah, see? Okay.
Well, because I mean that's going to compete fairly close to the 2600 that I have.
Yep.
That's at a 89 or 90 QE. Sorry, 88 QE. A 1.5 efficient pixel, and 3.76 pixel pitch.
Okay.
And I'm at 14-bit.
Yeah. I mean, this is their first CMOS camera,
Yeah.
so I was just impressed that they actually came out with something. I didn't think they were ever gonna come out with anything. And not for another $3,400, and then that's like a package without the filters. I already have filters. I don't need to spend. I already spent. I don't even know what $1,000 on filters.
Wife's listening.
Okay.
Tell her what you
Yeah,
did.
Mark's like,
Tell her what you
$1,000,
paid
that's
for
it?
them.
That's it? And you didn't have to return them?
God help us if our wives ever sell it for what we told her we paid for it.
Oh, God, yes.
God forbid I ever meet up with
I
Mark.
was able to afford it if the voice point sell all my stuff.
Rainey Hounsel. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. I'm sorry. It's a little.
Looks
I'm a
right.
little.
Granny Hansel.
Rainey Hounsel.
Yep.
Trying to image with Canon in the heat has been a challenge. Any DSLR in heat is going to be a challenge.
It will be an extreme challenge. You'll have a ton of noise.
You're going to have a ton of thermal noise.
Yep.
Ton of thermal.
And I don't know if I want to stand outside for an hour taking darks anyway.
Yeah.
I just don't have the patience.
Well-
I told you my camera's in a fridge right now, just taking darks right now.
But that's the thing, is you really don't have to stand outside to do it. Now with the shutter release controls and things like that, and there's a lot of appliances that are available, it'll automate it.
Yeah.
So you,
Yeah, it'll automate, but it still cuts into imaging time, which is
Oh, of
annoys
course.
the crap out of me.
Yep.
Yep.
No, I've noticed a marked improvement in my willingness to want to go out and shoot now that I've gone one-shot color and dedicated Astro.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for the investment costs, once you get through the initial kind of learning curve, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
And you get considerably more dramatic results.
Agreed
More
there.
work. Yeah,
But-
I'm still working. I'm still working on what I got 12 hours in, and I'm only doing HA and O3
O3.
on on the Pelican,
Uh-huh.
and I'm sorry, not HA and S2, and it's like ridiculous because just getting two narrow bands, and then you sitting there, you gotta wait, you gotta compile it, you gotta do all that one shot color. It's almost instant gratification, more
Yep.
or less.
Yeah, especially now with these narrowband filters that we can use, it makes things. I know there's always going to be, of course, the issue with the signal versus with a mono versus OSC, but for the most part, you know what? This is my hobby. I'm not, looking to make money off of this, so
Yeah, I know.
I am totally happy. But I will be honest, I will eventually go back to mono. But I'll stick up something you guys. I'm going to wait till ZWO brings out the successor to the 1600 before I do that.
Yeah. All I know is that Simon. I've been talking to Simon Lewis, who's another one of our group that is on the other side of the world.
Yep.
And he, I think he's got me he's been edging me to get a 294.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, come on, go big and get the 2600.
Come on, man. That's it.
Get the 2600. You'd be happy.
The 2600. Let's go for it.
Dude, yeah, that's $1,000.
No amp club. Nice, nice height.
$2,600 camera. I don't even know the one.
You can do it.
I know I could, but I
You
don't
can
want
do
to.
it.
Yeah, you do. Well, so here's the thing. I started with a 533. I love my 533. There's for what it is, there's not a better camera in its price point or capability.
Yeah, $899, you can't beat it.
Cannot beat it. The thing that killed me because I'm a vidiot is I prefer a rectangle aspect. And with a lot of the things, a lot of the deep space objects being a little bit more tending to not be a perfect square.
Perfect square, yeah.
You then have to start getting into mosaics, which is fine, doable. Not easy on the ASI Air, and that's one of the things that's on their roadmap. Eventually, they're going to start building mosaic into it, I hear. But, for what it is, you can't beat it. But that's why I went to the 2600. It gave me a little bit bigger sensor, gave me better bit depth because I'm at 14 instead of 10. And just, I got that wider field. I have a ton of data, a density in my image. They're the same pixel pitch, just considerably more pixel count because of the nature of the sensor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just showing that this is pre-editing on what I was pulling off. So this is the stack of the 36 before I went in and did all the PI processing. That's coming straight out of APP, just stacking the data, and you can see all the red read noise and stuff like that, and a couple of my hot pixels and things like that that didn't get taken out, that I didn't post. But seeing essentially this, a little bit darker, right on my iPad screen as I'm imaging, I was just about doing a happy, happy, joy, joy dance in the middle of my living room in my Lazy Boy recliner going, this is going to be epic. It was unbelievable what we pulled out with just that filter. I'm going to see if I can find... see if I can pull up one of my other pictures as I'm loading these in as media files, so it takes me a little bit to find it.
So you guys, I don't know if you guys had a chance to go through my whole, or you guys had a chance to sit down through my video of SharpCap.
No, not yet. I just got power back, so.
Yeah, you just got power back, Dan. So you got a pass.
Yeah, I get a pass.
Yeah, but you know what? It was an interesting experiment to figure out, because I've always been curious about this whole smart histogram and how Robin Glover, he says this whole thing about maximizing image time. He's got this, with SharpCap Pro that you can set, it'll, after you do a sensor analysis, you have to do a sensor analysis first in SharpCap. And then to do this smart histogram, to read your sky brightness, it goes based off of per pixel or per electron per pixel. So it's not quite true like the sky brightness if you have a sky meter or anything like that.
Right.
But I was impressed. I was actually impressed on the amount of data I was able to get out in just a short amount of exposures. It was really impressive. And I don't know, maybe if I can find it here really quick, I'll show them to you. Let me just pull them up here. And let me know what you guys think, because I don't know because I haven't posted these like on Facebook. It's just my YouTube, on the YouTube screen. So let me share this. And it was the Eastern Veil. And that's 8 exposures, and that's 600 seconds. That's 10 minutes right there.
Yeah, so, of course, Mark's trying to weasel his way into the show here, but Mark wanted me to show, here's his. This was his with his 6200 on his 120 E-Spirit. And I want to say, and Mark will have to hop in and give me the specs, but I want to say it was like 11 images at 10 minutes. Yep. So, I mean, again, the amount of detail, again, he's using the extreme, and, he hasn't, he owns, but he hasn't delved into it yet. So that's all what he pulled out doing in APP and Photoshop.
Yeah.
So, since we're all showing the veil, I may as well show mine.
Come on. Well, it seems to be like it's the target du jour right now.
I mean, this is a very, very raw. I got a lot of work to do on it, but it's very raw. But let's see if I can show you mine. This is about 8 hours worth. And let's see, Chrome tab. There it is.
Is that in your AstroBin or?
No, it's on. It's only my finished stuff I put on AstroBin.
Oh, okay.
I'm showing the wrong thing.
Yeah, because I'm getting a Google.
Yeah. Sorry. Come on. Chrome tab 7. There it is. So that's about 9 hours, I think.
Nice.
That's nice.
Bicolor. Yeah, it's bicolor. So I did. Yeah. So it's just the HA, an 03, and that's it. But I mean, again, I got a lot of work to do on that. I still got to get the background done a little bit better. But I've just planned this with Pickering's triangle over here, and then the witch's broom up top. So,
yep.
So that's fine.
Looks good, Dan.
That's getting there. That was from last year, actually.
Well, and then I went through and dug up. So this was in my initial tests. Yep, there we go. So this is 20 5-minute subs. Or, sorry, 3-minute subs, 180 seconds. Because that's what I did for my initial shootout. So, I mean, this is showing you more of what we're seeing raw in camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, that's straight out of APP, but these are being 180-minute subs is more equivalent to what I'm seeing coming right on my screen for each of the processing layers. So each of the original RAWs. So, I mean, I'm getting the color. You can see the blue. You can see the ghosting in the red. I've never seen that type of color pop other than shooting extremely bright like Orion.
Yeah, they did a good job tightening up the bandwidth on this filter, I think.
Yeah.
They did a good job.
Well, and I was a little worried with it being so kind of pinpoint that I was going to lose a ton of detail, and I was surprised how much more detail I'm getting with how narrow it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eventually,
Absolutely.
I'll get around to actually getting a shoot of of the shootout. I did do some imaging, but I'm not happy with what I actually captured after seeing what I could do with the 10-minute subs. So I'm going to do a series of more images at each of the filters to show the difference. But it was a marked improvement, especially going
Nice.
between the L Pro and the L Enhanced was a major jump,
Yeah,
and
I
then
can
now into
imagine,
the
yeah.
extreme is more extreme.
Yeah, it is. Seems to be. Like I said, I can't wait. This will be my first lights using the filter, so I can't wait to see how it all turns out for me. I'm using the 533.
Yeah.
And
So, all right, you want to talk a little bit about the calibration frames, or?
yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that. Yes, Titan. I'm going to talk about it. You got one.
I got one.
All right.
Nice.
Sorry.
This was the other thing that broke, by the way. So, my wife, she, this is round, so it rolls. So when you put it on a table and you have like things around it so it doesn't move, if you move the table, it's still gonna roll. So it rolled off the table and smashed onto the floor. And I did not know this until it broke. But this little collar here is held together by 4 little screws. And it came off. And I was like, oh man, now it's broke. I can't get anything on. But it was just the screws. They were just so loose that it just fell off. But everything is fine. But this literally went whoop and fell off, and it smashed it like 2 places.
Wow.
But it's fine.
Well,
I got some breaking stuff.
you're stress testing the hardware, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No kidding.
it's crazy. There's 2 things broken.
Well, I can't put that all on you because I've had the same thing. I bought my D500 for doing wildlife and was setting up 2 years ago to go shoot with it. Like second week of owning the thing, like I'd only been out twice with it. Set it on the back of my chair, bumped the chair with the lens on it.
Yep.
Sheared the lens from the body. $900 work on a $900 camera.
Oh, that's horrible.
That was an expensive lesson.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. So calibration frames.
Yes. We're gonna
So-
start the show 45 minutes later.
Hey, it's been interesting, right, guys?
Right.
Hey, I hope you guys are getting the content you want, because this is what we got.
Yeah,
I know
this-
some people have a little bit little comments on the side saying that we kind of ramble too much, but that's okay.
Okay, so calibration frames, and this is basically for all of us. We know what calibration to do. We know why we do calibration frames. It's to make our lights better. Okay, but for our new guys who are getting into it, what are calibration frames? What are the purpose of them, and why do you need to do them? So there are basically 4 different types of calibration frames. You have your bias frames, your dark frames, your flat frames, and your dark flat frames. Okay, and they all help. Their job is to help calibrate your light frames and get certain things such as noise, debris, vignetting out of your light frames for your images. It's to make those images pop. It's to make those images look the way you expect them to look. So let's talk about bias frames, because those are by far the easiest to do. And for the most part, from what I understand, when it comes to CMOS, dedicated CMOS, you don't necessarily have to do bias frames. But it's a good idea because it helps scale out your master darks and your master dark flats. But bias frames, what they are calibration frames that get rid of what they call the readout noise off of your image. And what readout noise is basically whenever you start or you fire up your camera, and the electricity that goes through your camera and it starts firing up the pixels. That electricity that goes through those pixels, that causes noise, and that noise is the readout noise. So what you do is for a bias frame, is you set your you set your speed on your CMOS camera, your DSLR, what have you, usually to the fastest it can go. In my ZWO's case, I believe it's like 1,000th of a second or something like that.
Something like that.
And you take and you put the cap on your telescope or your DSLR lens, and you just go to town. I usually take about 100 of these because they happen so fast. You're done in less than a minute or two. So that's basically what they do. They get rid of the readout noise. So yeah, like I said, just go to town, and you can actually take a lot of those in different maybe ISOs or gains and create a little bias library if you want.
It really shouldn't make a whole lot of difference with gain and exposure.
Okay.
With the bias frames because they're so fast.
Yeah, they're so fast.
Yeah.
So those really aren't as relevant. So those you can use across all of your gains and exposures.
Okay, well that's good to know. Okay, yeah, because it's so fast.
Yeah, with a bias.
Yeah. Now, what's not so fast are the dark frames, and the dark frames are what you use. Their goal is to get rid of noise. And what the noise we're talking about is not just readout noise like your bias frames do. Their job is to get rid of noise called thermal noise. And what thermal noise is whenever you use your DSLR or your color-cooled camera or mono camera, whenever it's working, it's heating. The sensor heats up, okay? And it heats up to a certain degree. And that's why it's kind of cool to have these cooled Astro cameras to have the fans on them to help deal with that thermal noise, to help cool things down on that sensor. But what it does, it helps eliminate or calibrate out the noise from your lights. Because when you're taking those lights, you're going to have noise. No matter how good your camera is, no matter what, you are going to have noise, no matter what. So this is what this job is for the dark, is to help get rid of that noise. Also, it helps deal with what we call hot and cold pixels.
Yep.
And hot and cold pixels are pixels that if it's hot, it means it's always on. Either it's on a mono camera or a color camera. It could be the red, green, or blue, a pixel that is always on. It never, it is set on. When the camera comes on, it's just a fault, and it never shuts off. So, and the cold pixel is the opposite. And what you do is when you're calibrating your master dark, you can, especially like an APP or in PixInsight, you can do what's called a bad pixel map. And what it does, it finds and it recognizes those dead pixels or those pixels that are hot or cold. And during the stacking, it helps calibrate those pixels out as well. Okay.
So one of the things that I would like to mention while you're talking about the darks is the fact it's going to match second for second your exposure times for your lights.
Absolutely. Yes, that is key.
So
is that when you are taking your darks, whatever you took your lights at, say if it's 30 seconds, 180 seconds, 600 seconds, and the gain or the ISO, what you put your cap on of your camera or your telescope lens, and usually I do about between 30 and 40 of these. And they're at the exact same speed of your lights, exact same settings. You just do it just like how you did your lights. You just put the cap on and you do your darks. And and usually it's also at the same temperature. Is that the same?
It's got to be the same temperature.
Yeah, it has to be the same temperature.
Same temperature, same time.
Yep.
And just one other thing I'd like to add as far as the darks are concerned. Now, if you're using PixInsight, there's something called optimizing darks. Now, for those of you guys that do a lot of darks, if you just want to take 10-minute darks, let's say the longest exposure you ever take is 10 minutes, but tonight you're only using 8, or you're using 9 minutes, or 7 minutes, or 4 minutes. You could actually use your 10-minute darks as long as it's the same temperature. You could use your 10-minute darks and optimize them. And what PixInsight will do is it'll scale back your dark mathematically with an algorithm to fit your time of your life.
That's kind of cool.
So,
I know that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, you can do that. A lot of people have been doing it more often. I've done both. I haven't seen a negative yet as far as optimizing the darks. But I've done 10-minute darks and used them on 5-minute exposures. And as you're watching the Profile Explorer and you're watching it, it'll show you using 10 or whatever 600-second dark, using it only at 0.43%.
Mm-hmm.
And it scales it for each individual photo based on your ADUs.
Wow.
So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. So you can actually use one dark frame library with one dark frame.
Yeah.
Again, it's got to be the same temperature.
It's
You
gotta be the
cannot use different temperatures.
Yeah. So
That's kind of nice.
so one of the things that I do as soon as I get a new camera, and I'm about every 3 months. I know you can go out to about 6 months, but I do darks catalogs
Yep.
every
well.
3 months. So
Yeah, I do it every quarter as well.
Yeah, I do mine actually close to maybe every 5 or 6 months. But yeah, I do this.
And the reason for that is the camera's going to change. As it ages, things are going to change and alter. So your bad pixel map and things like that will adjust with it. But also, it's just going to help kind of keep things current to the electronics itself.
Yeah.
I've actually found that when I wait more than 4 or 5 months with the CCD, I get some really wacky results if I don't change my dark file. And if I don't change my master, it gets ugly.
Well, and that's
Another
nice.
thing with darks is if you have like some of the older CMOS cameras, like I have the 294, the 183, you get that amp glow. It helps count that amp glow as well. So
Sure.
So one of the other things that is good with Eric and I is with the ASIR Pro, you can actually keep all of your dark settings. So when you go and do your auto exposure, you can go through and set all of your intervals and times. So your duration of your shot, from the 1 second all the way up to the 600 second, and your quantity. And you can set your cooling and all that stuff with your camera. So if it's an overcast day or it's raining, which doesn't happen here often, but the overcast does, that's when I do my darks catalog. Well, I was waiting for you to blame me. But so when we get an overcast day or things aren't really going to be conducive to being out imaging, I set the camera up. I drape a towel over top of because I keep everything attached in the image train, even though I don't have to. Just because then it won't roll off the table or get knocked over.
I roll stuff on the table. You know that. So knock stuff over. I don't do that.
So I have a bar in my family room where I've got everything kind of powered and set up, and I drape a towel over top of the extension tubes and whatnot and the spacers so that there's no light leaks, and just let her rip. And I keep everything there. I just turn on the radio button for each of the times and drop a clean memory card in and let that thing go.
there you go.
Tip to toe, because I do from 1 second all the way up to 600 seconds, it's almost 14 hours of data acquisition, because I do 30 of each dark as my baseline. So, you can easily take a full day if you have it, but if not, you set it at night and let it cook overnight where it's cooler anyways, and it's less wear and tear on the cooler at that point. One of the other things that I do is I have a little, it's battery or USB power fan that I bought for my daughter when she was in her car seat, and I set that next to it and blow air across, not at the fan itself, but across the fins. So 90 degrees to the camera itself, and it helps the cooling where I can get it down to, it only works at about 60 to 70% instead of 100%, trying to keep that cooling at the 70 to 80 degrees that we keep the house.
I actually, for me, I actually take my 533 and my 294. I take the imaging train apart and I put the cap over. I put the 11 millimeter back on and put the cap on, and I'll actually hook it all back up to the ASI Air and take it downstairs into my basement and put it into my beer fridge.
There you go.
And just set it there, and it's fine.
But how much beer do you have to pull out in order to do that? Oh wait, you can drink it. Never mind. It's good. It's a good thing.
There you go.
I make room.
That's not going to be a problem.
Right. Sorry.
And because it's usually about 38 degrees already in the fridge, so I just put the camera in there and do the same thing. I fire up the ASA Air Pro because I've got it all hooked up, and I run my entire dark library, and I run it overnight, or and by the next time I'm ready to image, it's already there. I do about 30 myself, 30, 40 of them myself, and you're ready to go. So darks are really easy. It's just, I guess, like we're saying, keep the temperature the same, keep your settings the same as far as what your lights were, and just go to town. Take about 30 or 40 of them, and you'll be good. Yep. Now the next ones are the reason why I got the Spica flat, the flat frames, and flat frames. There's always this debate, with flat frames. Like, how long do you take your flats? How do you take your flats? This, that, and the other. What flat frames do, they help get rid of the imperfections in your image train, such as dust, vignetting, things like that. And usually what I do, this is my personal thing, I aim for to try to get as close to the center of my histogram as possible. Some folks go a little bit below that. Some folks go a little bit around 2/3 and a little bit above that. I personally I look at my histogram in the ASI Air Pro, and if it's right there around that 32,000 point, then I know that I'm good. And I usually do those for
about half as well. Right in the middle of histogram. And then that's good with DSLRs. I think we spoke about this once before.
Yeah.
Is that if you run this in aperture priority mode, it'll pop it right at 50% histogram.
Yeah, mode. Yep.
So when I started doing my flats, I actually talked to TJ and Simon and a few others, and they were saying that we should be around 24 to 28,000 ADU.
That's what they were telling me too. Yeah.
Now, it's a nominal difference, but
Yep.
I did notice that it tends to be overexposed if I go right at 50% at about the 32,000 range.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't get quite as good of a result as I do at the 25 to 26,000 range.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to target mine and base my math off of that 25,000 average.
Okay.
And I look at the average. So my spike, usually it's about 6,000 range, depending on the filter. The thing that surprised me is so with the new Extreme, of course I had to do new flats when I did the Extreme. I was at 120 seconds to hit 20. It was 26,000 ADU.
That's huge. That's a long time.
It was really long, and I'm
That's
like,
a
holy
long
crap!
time.
This is going to take me an hour to get all these images. But it was something that when I first started doing it, I shot native, no filters or anything like that, and of course your times are considerably shorter. For me it was about 7.5 seconds bare camera, or bare sensor, and then I added in the L Pro, and it jumped to 40 seconds. Then I put in the L Enhanced, and it was 112 seconds.
Wow.
Then I put in the Extreme, it was 120. So not as big of a jump between the L Enhanced and the L Extreme, because they're pretty close to the same.
Expected. Yeah, that's pretty close.
But the fact that I had to go to 120 seconds to be able to get that 26,000 ADU, I'm like, holy crap. So, I mean, for those that are new to this, like I was, to kind of take that out of your mindset and oh, this can't be right. It's right. Look at your histogram. Do it by the histogram. Don't go by what somebody tells you. There's no graph that's going to show you. You just have to put it in the histogram and let it rip.
Now,
and just remember when we're talking about this 28,000, 26,000, 30,000, 32. This is all based on your well depth. Yeah. So if your well depth is 65,000, well then you're going to be at 25, 26, 27, 28,000. because that's a little less than half. But if your well depth is a lot more than that, you got to raise up your ADU to reach that. So it's all incremental like that. So just remember that, it's based on your camera, not based on
Yeah.
not based on what we're
So,
saying.
yeah. So my metrics are based on my two cameras because they have the same well depth and same total value.
Right. Now, talking about flats, how do you take flats? Well, there are several different ways you can take flats. The one method that I started out with the DSLR, even when I got my first 183, was the sky flat method. Okay. And the sky flat method is basically you get a t-shirt, put it nice and taut, get a rubber band, put it over your lens, and just about around dawn or twilight is the best time. Point it up at the sky, and then you work off of your histogram, and then you take your images. You take those flat calibration frames. I personally started getting tired of getting up, for twilight, and not twilight, but dawn, and having to deal with that crap, or having to wait and around for twilight and when it came nightfall to do that type of stuff. So what a lot of people have done, and what I was told initially, was I got introduced to the tracing pads, those $25, $30 tracing pads, right? That you buy off of Amazon. They're LED, they're dimmable. And they work fine. And the thing is that sometimes they can be a little too bright, or you can't get the right dim. The dimness can't get just the way you want it to with its settings with its levels of its dimmer. So to help diffuse the light, what I have done is I would use copy paper and some copy paper between the t-shirt and my lens and the LED panel. And then going off of that, I would add or take away paper to get the right amount. So I can get, ideally, I want to go for, usually I'm trying to go for 2 second or 3 second exposures on my flats. So I would try to get around that ADU, when I first started out, just like, Jason was saying, around that between 24, 26,000 ADU, and whatever that came out to be, taking away, adding or taking away the paper, then that's what I got. And then that's where I started taking my shots.
So I've actually, one of the methods I learned on the University of YouTube, it's an amazing institution, was using like a white cotton shirt, and being able to double or triple the layers depending on what you need to be able to diffuse that light. But because it's a cross fiber, copy paper would probably work the same way. But I know, like for me, I use a higher brightness, a little bit heavier paper, so it's a good metric. That's actually a really good trick.
Yeah.
But initially, when I started, I was down. I bought or got an app on my iPad and was using the iPad screen flashlight. Turn it on to like 60%, and then put a T-shirt over it. And then if it was still too bright, then I doubled the T-shirt, put it right on top of the lens. But after about the third time that my iPad tumbled off of it, I decided that it was time to start looking at getting like a fixed flat. And actually, my friend Mark was so kind, when he upgraded to his Spica-Flat, he hooked me up with his Pegasus flat panel. And that has made it considerably easier. And especially being that I'm not using large aperture scopes, works perfectly with the 2 scopes or 3 scopes that I currently own. So
cool. Now, so that's flats. Now, dark flats. Dark flats are the last calibration frame, and those are pretty common to use with your dedicated CMOS cameras. And they're basically, what they do is they get rid of the noise that's in your flats. That's their job. And they are nothing more than just like your darks or your bias. You put the cap over your telescope lens or your DSLR lens, and you take the same exposure time as your flats were, the same setting. So you just basically switch and put the cap on after you've done your flats, you take your dark flats, and it's the same amount. Usually, I do about 40 flats, so I'll do about 40 dark flats, and that's basically it. And those are your calibration frames. The main goal, like I said, is to get rid of that noise and get rid of the nasty stuff that's on your sensor and vignetting. So there you are.
Now, just your opinion, guys. Do you do dark flats and darks, or do you do one or the other?
I do both.
Okay.
I do one. I just do darks.
Now,
Yeah.
because I have a darks
I
catalog.
think I think there's a little bit of a difference between the CMOS and the CCD chips.
Mm-hmm.
The darks seem to be good enough for me. The dark flats, I really didn't see. I did them once or twice, and I didn't see a great benefit. I could be talking out my butt here, but I didn't see much of a difference there. CMOS, I think, is more of a necessity to it. If I think there's more to it than that when it comes down to CMOS chips.
Yeah, I hadn't initially done dark flats until I got the Flatmaster, and then because it was easy, and it's the same duration as whatever you do your flat. I just got in the habit of doing it. So when I set it to run both, but I only turn one on because I'm doing it through the ASI Air. So I run the one sequence with the flat panel on, and then I cap it, wrap it, and run the the dark flats.
Yep.
And I do my flats and dark flats for every imaging sequence.
Yes.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every imaging
Yep.
sequence.
But of course, the lights or the darks, I just go to my catalog. So, but
So you just made a great point. So remember, with darks, you can make a library, okay, and you can keep those for an extended period of time. Whenever you do your flats, you do your dark flats all at the same time. Those you don't make a library for because your imaging, train, vignetting, or if you get dirt on the sensor, all those things change constantly. So you always want to do your flats after you've done your lights. Now, some people I've seen, especially now with the ASI Air Pro, you can do the live stacking. And people have actually gotten to the habit of just getting everything into focus and getting your scope into focus and your camera into focus, and then doing their flats right at the very, very beginning. They do their flats and their dark flats. They probably already have a dark library sitting on their ASI Air Pro, and then they take their lights. And that's because you can actually, the ASI Air will make master calibration frames and stack and do live stacking of your image. So you can actually see everything the way almost as if you were going to do post in a way to get a good idea of how things are looking. So I haven't done live stacking yet. I plan on doing it very soon, but I haven't done it yet.
I did it wrong. I thought I could load my calibration frames that I created in like APP, just loading my FITS files. You can't do that. As I found out, you have to do all the calibration frames natively within the live stacking feature. So, because it has to go through and do its own compiling.
Yep.
So, like what Eric was saying, you have to do that all. So what a lot of guys will do is they'll do all of those calibration for the live stack while they're waiting for it to get dark enough to actually image, because you don't really have to change a whole lot. Your flat, your dark flats, your darks are all going to be a relatively native time frame, because they're all a percentage of your imaging train. Your camera, your scope, all those things. And then you'd stack in your lights, and then that will determine your darks. Being able to do all of that within the ASI Air, I haven't tried that live stack feature because it was going to be more time than I cared to invest at the time, especially with trying to chase a 4-year-old around my house and do all the other things that are inherent in my life.
Yep.
I haven't played with that feature to its fullest extent yet.
Yeah, I just haven't gotten around to it. I've seen YouTubers do it, and it looks pretty cool. And I'm sure it's great for outreach. Kind of like what is it, EAA?
Yep.
Yep.
And that. So I'm sure it's fantastic for outreach and doing that. But you just have to make sure you just do it right, like Jason was saying. Personally, I'm also with ASIR Pro. They're just now putting the finishing touches on the video piece.
We're not supposed to talk about that yet.
Yeah. So I can't wait.
We got nothing.
Get the focus going. Good God.
They're working on it. I'm actually part of the beta group for the ASIR Pro. So I've been doing the betas. We've been not so patiently waiting for the autofocus to come in so that we can do some testing. They're telling us hopefully in a week or two here we'll be able to get our focusing stuff, but they're adding in a ton of new features.
That's awesome.
Once we get through this next beta and figure out which of them actually stick, we can work about it a little bit more. But the big one that they kind of leaked, so we can talk about it, that Eric hinted at, is they are actually looking at doing live video. So we're going to be able to start doing planetary natively inside of the ASIR. So taking full account of the breadth of what the ZWO platform has to offer in their cameras.
Nice. I do know that if you're doing EAA with SharkCap, when you're doing the live stack, you could actually point. It sounds like it's a little bit different than the ASIR, but you can actually point to your dark file library in SharkCap, and it will subtract those darks out on the fly. Not so much flats and everything else, but just your darks. And it'll knock it all out for you, and it works pretty good. I've done a couple of live streams. I haven't done any recently. I've done like 5 or 6 live streams when I was doing the Heart Nebula, and people liked watching the heart get brighter and brighter and brighter, and and then they watch me fall asleep.
And that's, so I posted my images of the Veil Nebula, and one of my buddies that I work with is currently out of work as well. He messaged me and he's like, "Hey bud, when can I come watch what you're doing?" I'm like, "Well, it's really not that exciting. I sit on my lazy boy watching the TV." And I glance over once in a while at my iPad sitting next to me and go, "Cool, it's still imaging. Sweet."
There's only so many times you can say, "Okay, let's check the guiding right now and see how we're doing." That's all right. The focus looks good. Oh, it's doing another focus routine. I just switched filters, and then after a while, in about 30 minutes, you can watch me snore.
Rub salt in that wound. We don't get the autofocus yet.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Listen, there's something to be said about, Sequence Generator Pro does have its quirks.
Yeah.
But you know what? For what it does and how much it costs, I mean, hands down, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I tell you, the ASIR Pro, they keep coming out with new stuff. I know they're working on the autofocus and the other things that I shouldn't have mentioned.
Well, they actually leaked it on their Facebook site, so the video side we can talk about.
Yeah.
The other stuff we can't.
But you know what? They made a comment when I was after I did my video of Smart Histogram. They made a comment that they would like to try to do that, where they could analyze the camera and help best gain and help you determine what the best gain and best exposure is for your particular sky conditions at the time. So you can help minimize or maximize the amount of time you're going to take as far as letting you know how many exposures are recommended and stuff like that. So
no, I know it's on their roadmap. They've got a lot of other stuff that they're trying to get to market here quick to be more competitive and slightly more aggressive in the market as a whole. So I'm really looking forward to some of the stuff that they've got in the pipeline. If they can bring it to fruition here in the next few months, it'd be spectacular.
Also, I know this is a little bit off the subject, but if I can send a message out, send a shout out to Bader Planetarium. For the love of God, as a Rasa 8 owner, please, for the love of God, come out with that FCCT, that tilter, because us Rasa 8 owners, our biggest hang up right now is the tilt of our camera center, of our cameras. You know, that's our biggest, probably the biggest complaint is the tilt. And I know back last year or the year before, I think it was actually last year in 2019, they had a prototype that they were doing of the SCCT.
Yep.
And it looks really promising. I haven't heard, a word about it since I saw that article, and I think they came out like in December of 2019 or something like that, maybe a lot sooner. But if you guys have any update over there in Europe, over there in Germany, if you guys can give us, throw us Rasa 8 owners a bone and let us know how you guys are progressing, it would be awesome.
Now, can you use like the the Williams Optics tilt adapter at all?
You know what? I've never tried. I honestly have never tried.
Because I know that they sell theirs separate. Not that I'm trying to pitch Williams Optics stuff, but they have a fairly robust camera tilt plate that goes onto the Red Cat. But I believe they sell it for a couple different size scopes. I don't know if it'll work on the Rasa 8 or not. But
yeah, that's the thing, because the Rasa is so specialized. Yeah. So you don't know. And it has to be important. You have to have, I believe it's 23 to 25 millimeter back focus. I believe it's 23 millimeter.
Because of the prism?
Yes. So you have to make sure you're in that range. You almost have to be at that 23 or 25 millimeter. I can't remember which one it is. You have to be right there, to make sure you're in focus. You can get proper focus, so.
Oh.
So yeah, Bader, if you're listening or if you're going to listen to this, please just give us a heads up on how you guys are doing.
All right. So,
are you ready for a PowerPoint presentation there, Mr. Higgins?
am I?
I don't know. So. Are you?
I think I'm ready. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about focusing and how we get that lovely picture in focus. If I could just share the PowerPoint here. And there we go. And can we see that?
Yep.
All right, so we got focus on focusing. All right, so a couple of, it actually worked. Okay. So a couple of things that make focusing problematic, if anything. You got a couple of things that are going on when you're taking a picture. Is you got temperature changes that kind of mess with your focus. You got filter changes that, because the filter change, you may have a different focus point for each different filter if they're not what's the word I'm looking for?
Parafocal.
Parfocal. They're not parfocal. The seeing in the atmosphere moves as you're up there, and your eyesight. Your eyesight causes an effect. If your eyes are out of whack and you're not wearing your glasses and you're looking through an eyepiece, you're gonna have a problem. So, but some of the things we use to get around all that stuff are motorized focusers, and this is a couple that are out there. So you got on the top left, you got the Primaluce Asato. You have the Moonlight Nightcrawler, and as Eric knows about that. And what a lot of people have been using, especially the ZWO owners, is the EAF. There you go. I hear it.
Hey, I own two. They don't work for me yet, other than manually going through and adjusting them, but they're there.
And, oh my God, hold on a second. And let's see if I can. What happened?
You advance the slide. There you go.
There you go. Okay, so some things that we use for focusing. If you have live view, you could eyeball it with a live view camera. It's not going to be perfect, but you can get kind of close. Then there's the next thing called a Batinov mask. And basically you put that on front of your lens, and it makes diffraction spikes, and we'll get into that in a little bit. And the motorized focuser. There's two different types. One has servo motors and one has stepper motors, and we'll talk about the difference of that in a little bit. No, we'll talk about it right now. Servo versus stepper motors. Okay, so servo versus stepper motors. Now, servo motors. Some of the pros on servo motors, and that's more like the EAF. They're less expensive. They're compact, but they tend to be not as accurate because there's not as many steps in a stepper motor. The stepper motors, they're a lot faster, they're more accurate, but they're a lot bigger and they're more expensive. Like the Moonlight. You see that Moonlight stepper motor on the left, that big brick? That's the stepper motor that turns everything. Inside the EAF, there's a little motor in there. There's a servo motor in there that turns your focuser as well. And it's a lot smaller and it's a lot cheaper. So you get the EAF. What's the EAF for now? $199 now?
$199, yep.
And the Moonlight, the 2.5 inch for the refractors, I think is over $400. So something to think about there.
I know when I bought my Moonlight or my Moonlight products, he was trying to talk me into getting his focus motor, and I says it's great, but I use ASIR. He's like, oh well, good luck.
Yeah, no. Well, you know what? I've had a Moonlight for.
Yep. I'm on your other camera.
Yeah. Now you see my whole room and I'm a mess. What just happened? Oh, that's what happened. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. And yeah, so I've had a Moonlight focuser for a long time, and I love it. And I know that Mark loves his Nightcrawler, so you know, I mean, it's really good stuff. But if you don't want to spend the money on a Nightcrawler, or even a regular focuser from them, and spend $400 or $500 on it, you get something for $30 called the Batman mask. Basically, you get a star in the middle of your eyepiece. You place this mask in front of your telescope, and the mask produces an X like that. Okay? So the Batman mask, so if you're focusing and if you're in focus, you see that nice little diffraction spike in the middle? If it's in the middle of the big X, oops. If it's in the middle of the big X, then you're in focus, or you're pretty damn close. And it goes anywhere from about, you know, depending on the size Batman mask you need, $14.95 to $29.95. So.
Now, I know on the telescopes you can use the bigger plastic Batman mask, like what you're showing, that has the bigger spacing. I know in the DSLR stuff, we covered it in our DSLR segment, but the his name's escaping me. The one I sent you to, Eric.
Spec.
Yeah, a Lonely Spec. Thank you.
Lonely Spec.
So Lonely Spec makes one that is actually laser etched into a piece of acrylic. They're much finer lines. Doesn't really work well on a scope, but for DSLR, they're invaluable.
Nice.
They're considerably tighter. It gives you the same diffraction spike, but because you're working with a completely different optic train, they're focused solely on the DSLR market, doing night. And the diffraction spikes are the same as you'd expect to get with the bigger Batnoff mask that you see there. Some of the Batnoff masks, like what you have for your Rasa, Eric, is going to be, it has a big hole in the middle.
Yep.
It doesn't really change the functionality and feature of it, but it is going to make the focusing easier if you have to do manual focus. And it's a good place to start. I know with my Space Cat, it comes integrated in the cap, which I thought was phenomenal. And it's using a similar style to what Lonely Spec used.
Okay. All right. And then you got, if you want to spend a little bit more money, you get a motorized focuser. And all these focusers can be controlled by software. You'll more than likely need an ASCOM driver for it. As a matter of fact, you need definitely an ASCOM driver for these two, if not all of them. Some can be controlled by its own proprietary software, such as the EAF and the ASI Air, or the Moonlight, and they have a duo program that they've made themselves. Or you could control either one of them through an all-in-one software like Maxim DL or SGP or SharpCap. Servo focusers usually cost about less than $300. Stepper focusers, all said and done, start at approximately $400, and it could go at almost $4,000. So you could definitely spend a lot of money on a focuser. So let's talk about full width half maximum. Now, if you have a motorized focuser, it's going to use one of maybe 2 or 3 different algorithms to find out if you're in focus. So what full width half maximum is, it's basically halfway through the peak, where is your ADU at, and how thin how pinpoint your star is. So this is an algorithm based on a star profile, halfway up the peak of the curve, and lower numbers are always better than FWHM. So the lower, the narrower the peak. Okay, so if you're at a 4 FWHM, a 3 is more in focus than a 4, a 5 is in less focus than a 4. And that was given by John Rista on Cloudy Nights. I gave him credit for that. Just to give you an example of the numbers here, and this is half flux diameter, but the number rule is the same. Less numbers are better. So you'll see over at the top left, this half flux diameter is 37. And then as it gets in focus, the numbers go lower. And then all of a sudden, you start getting higher as you go rack it out of focus, and it starts getting higher again. So the lowest one here is about 30.72 would be the most in focus. So this is the diameter of a circle around the bright center, which half of the star flux of the energy is contained. So again, it's kind of like the same thing. It's just a different type of algorithm. It's based on how pinpoint of a star you have, and it gives it a numerical value. So you want to have lower numbers again for half flux diameter and full width half maximum. A lot of people are starting to use HFD more than FWHM. It seems to be because the newer algorithm, it's a little bit more specific and precise. But that's also just a newer part of technology. So 5 years down the road, we're going to have another one they're talking about half flux radiuses now, and other ones. I'm not going to get into half flux radius, but it's the same exact thing, diameter, radius. But no, not the same exact thing. But it's the same exact idea of smaller number, more
principle. And that's actually a good point. So we were using full width half max originally with the ASI Air, and then with the latest update they did when they announced their last feature set that came out about 2 months ago, they went to HFD.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to HFD. Even Sequence Generator Pro made that change as well.
Yep.
So a lot of people going to HFD. A lot of people are seeing that it is a tighter algorithm, which gets you even more precise focus. So if you're not using HFD and you have the option to use it, you might see a difference. You might not, depending on your scope, but you'll probably see a difference. So this is actually a picture of Sequence Generator Pro's autofocusing routine. And what many autofocus routines do, with the exception of SharpCap, which does something a little bit different, I'm not even going to get into it. Sorry, not doing it. And was it APP too? No, not APP. The other one, APT.
APT. Yeah.
APT has just got another square thing that they use to. I'm not even getting that either. But so automated focus, what it does is it'll take your star, and it'll say, okay, you know what? I'm going to start racking it out a little bit at a time, and see if the number gets smaller. And you see the scale on the vertical scale, the y-axis. where it says 2, 1.6, 1.2. So the lower the focus, the better. So what it did was it racked it out of focus and it racked it back in. So it actually starts on the right, not on the left. Don't ask me why it did that, but it always does. So it started at about 1.4, dropped to 1.2, dropped to about 0.9, then dropped to about 0.8, and then it started getting worse. So what it did was, okay, it makes a nice little green X, finds out where your lowest is, and then it moves it back to that value. So at like about 25,000 and I don't know, 4 or 3. So that's where it's going to rack it back, and that's where the focus is going to be for that filter. So it kind of racks it in, racks it out, and finds the best focus, puts it right there for you. So it's a really nifty tool.
And that's similar. I've seen a glimpse of what they're doing for the autofocus for ASIR Pro, and they're all using the same metric, visual. So we're looking forward to seeing it coming to fruition.
And I don't know if you caught this, but actually this one, this must have been an older picture, but this one's actually using half-wave radius.
Radius, okay, yep.
And as opposed to the HFD or FWHM. So it's kind of weird because I think, and I could be wrong, I think when it actually lends the values on the screen, I think it says HFD. So I'm going to have to take a look at that the next time I do it.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see what you find when you pull that back up.
Yeah. So some takeaways, plenty of ways to achieve focus. There are many ways, including bat-knob mask and electronic focusers. To me, this is an opinion. Probably the third most important thing with your rig right under the mount of the telescope is your focusing. Because if you're doing astrophotography, nothing's more important than having the picture in focus, except for maybe your tracking, which will affect that.
Yep.
Well, it doesn't really affect focus; it affects star trails. But definitely the focuser is that's where I would start putting my money after the mount and the scope. And again, lower numbers are better when dealing with software.
It's a very valid point, Dan. You can take as many images as you want, but if they're not in focus, you don't really have a good. Not that we're trying to sell this, but essentially you don't have a saleable print. So if you don't spend the time and the effort, I mean, I've ruined numerous nights imaging in my learning curve because my focus was off. And that's one of the reasons why I'm really excited about getting the EAF, because it's going to give me, hopefully, sharper, more consistent imaging. I've gotten really good at checking my focus and pausing my imaging sequence to jump into the focuser and double check things. It doesn't drift a ton. The best I've been able to get is the HFM of 1.1.
Okay.
Which, with the EAF being a servo as opposed to a stepper, I don't expect much more. My average is usually about 1.3 to 1.6.
Wow. Okay.
But again, I'm doing it because I haven't done the metric to figure out what's the best steps. That's true. I'm doing a 10-step base because I've only got 25,000 steps with the EAF. So you don't have as big of a range in the steps, even though you can set how many, because there are fewer of them compared to like a moonlight. You're going to have an inherently different outcome. So it all depends on what the focuser is capable of doing and what your seeing conditions are going to allow for.
Yeah, exactly. If you can't resolve because you got cruddy seeing like we have in New York, not like Arizona, but it's kind of definitely tough. And that's why, if you really want to go crazy, you go adaptive optics and stuff like that. But I haven't even gotten to that point yet.
Well, and it's one of those things that the more and more I get into this, the more and more I realize that you're never going to be satisfied. There's always one more widget, one more tool, one more thing that you can buy. It's going to make your images greater. It's going to make your experience better. For me, I've kind of coined my niche in this is the lazy astronomer. If I could find a way to automate the screws to change my RA and deck on my iOptron so that I could sit there in my lazy chair looking at the screen, which I do anyways outside when I'm moving my thumb screws to make the adjustments. If I could automate that part of it as well, life would be great.
Yeah, I'm with you. The more that's why I'm such a huge Eagle fan. That's why that has actually transformed for me the way I do imaging. And it's just everything's all in one. I throw it outside, and then now I'm actually starting to go to bed.
Well,
But
and that was the big transition for me going from AVX to my iOptron.
Sure.
It was the comfort level, and after about 3 or 4 nights of imaging and having things work consistently, and I didn't have
Correct.
to wait for Meridian Flip, go out there, reset a bunch of settings, and then I could go to bed. Considering Meridian Flip for most things, depending on where the object's at, is usually between 11 and 2 a.m.
yeah, something like that.
It just depends on where that object's tracking. I love staying up. I love watching those images, but you're sitting there doing this, and there's no alarm that goes off. And if you're not paying attention, then you wake up and your mount's, nose down. You've hopefully not damaged your optics or anything else.
I mean, I gotta be honest with you. So I've done about 5 or 6 Meridian Flips automatically with Sequence Generator Pro and EQ Mod. And let me tell you, I mean, the routine for the Meridian Flip in Sequence Generator Pro, it's dead on it's been dead on for the past 5 times. So I mean, it's been awesome. And literally, it takes a picture of where you're at. It stops everything. It slews, takes a picture where it is now, and then it plate solves to the first picture.
Yep. The ASIR Pro is doing essentially the same thing. It's not doing the picture, but it does recognize where the mount is registering. And when it does the flip, it'll go through and it will do, it'll plate solve once it gets back there, based on the metric of when it left. So the pre-rotate positioning.
Nice.
And it worked fine, other than there was something in their programming that set the AVX off, that it would reset the entire guiding, so it would shut off tracking completely. So for all of us here, it was EQ North and half side reel. It would shut it all off completely. So you'd have to go into the hand controller, frantically turn everything back on, and
that's horrible.
pause your sequencing. So you had to stay awake, because otherwise your entire other half of your imaging was shot. And your equipment, typically. Well, and that's part of why I got rid of it. You can work around it, and it worked fine. It was a good mount. They're not bad people, and they make a great product. It just didn't work well with the setup that I chose. Right. So that's why I transitioned over to the iOptron, because it worked flawlessly. As
one day I'll go to the dark side and get
I actually get to sleep now.
Well,
hey man, I've been sleeping fine with the EQ6R. I've been sleeping fine with it. So I mean, just let it go outside on the pier and just whatever.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I probably would have went to the EQ6R. I don't need the GPS function, but I like having that GPS function built into the mount. That's why I really loved having the iOptron. It's just one less thing that I have to be accurate on, because if you're slightly off, because I was typically using my phone, they're mildly accurate. When you're going into a remote site and you don't have good signal, because it is partially dealing with the cellular, not so much an actual GPS coordinate. Sometimes it was off by a few degrees, and that destroys your imaging, because you tell it it's here, it goes to look and it's not there. Now with plate solving, it'll fix it, but it's not ideal. So this way, it's got a 32 channel GPS built in, and it takes care of it.
George wants to know who locks their gates when their mounts are set up in the backyard. Well, my gate is like from 1948.
You just walk over it.
I don't have any locks.
Well, I actually have one step further. So I have a security camera on my back porch, and it sees the mount. I position the mount in such a way that I can see it on the camera. Twofold, so if I happen to wake up when it does the meridian flip, I can sit there and watch it do it. But it's infrared to 98 feet, and I can see a pretty darn good detailed image if somebody were to go back there and try to steal it. So I can have a pretty good description for law enforcement, and footage because it's recorded onto a SD card. So.
Yeah, you and I are going to have to talk about that because I definitely want to put a camera in the back and hook it up to my Synology and just do it that way.
So,
But,
a note about that. Infrared.
oh, jeez.
As I found out, if your scope points close enough to the back of your porch where your camera's at, the infrared light actually interferes with your imaging. It puts these really weird flares in your imaging train. I'm like, oh, I found some new celestial being. Oh wait, it's just a reflection.
It's just my security camera. Nice.
So learn from my lesson. IR cameras do tend to alter that because it is an infrared light, and that's part of what we're capturing in interstellar space.
All right. Good note. Oh, so basically, just get one with a motion sensor, so it'll light up the backyard.
Motion sensor, or if you I've got mine mounted up high because I'm trying to cover a pretty wide swath. I've got 120-degree field of view with the particular camera I'm using, and it does up to 98 feet. It was kind of excessive, but that's just the way I am.
A little OCD. That's all right.
Yeah, CDO, because otherwise the letters in the wrong order. Ideally, I would probably bring it down more at eye level so it wouldn't be above where my scope lens is. And then it wouldn't be as big of an issue. But I have it up where they have to get on a ladder to taking it down. So, I mean, potato. But, I mounted it outside because trying to shoot it through glass, all you get is IR reflection off the glass.
Sure.
So, IR cameras don't work from inside looking out. Well, they do. They just see reflection of your LED IRs. But
where Mark said he just had a scare. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
He powered up the mount and got an error message saying he couldn't find both axes.
Well, it's the old technician tool. Did you just turn it off and turn it on again? Oh,
And that's what he did, and it worked. That's what he did, and it worked.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't call it. It's not working. Did you power it on? Power it
George
off
does
again?
that with the cameras. My luck, they probably steal the camera as well.
Yeah.
And Rainy Houndsel said the raccoons are the size of dogs here, so no one wants to go in my dark backyard.
Well, and that's... I haven't had any in my backyard, but I know people have spotted them on their Ring doorbells and stuff like that.
Yep.
But we get mountain lions and coyotes walking down the street in the area that I'm at. So
nice.
It does tend to not change what I do, but it does cause me to be a little bit more cautious. I go out with a black light because we have scorpions, and I typically go barefoot when I do go out there to make changes to my scope. So I prefer not to get stung. And, we get rattlesnakes and things like that here. So
Oh, great.
you try to watch what you're doing when you step outside.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Rattlesnakes and scorpions. I guess it's one of the back end of working in the desert,
Well, the rule of thumb in Arizona, everything's trying to kill you. It's not just the heat.
Yeah.
We're in the Wild West, and that's why we're still kind of cowboy-esque. We carry guns, a lot of us, and it's not for our defense; it's for you.
There you go.
You go hiking here, all the cactuses are trying to stick you. So,
Rainey said makes doing wireless astronomy a better idea with scorpions.
Well, it does make a big difference, and again,
It really does.
If I could automate my raw and deck screwing to make the adjustments left to right,
polar alignment.
if I could do that for the polar alignment, the one thing that I dislike about the Ioptron is that even if you home, it's never the exact same spot.
Really?
And because there is no reference mark like there is on the the Celestron stuff, you don't really know where the home is at when you do a manual clutch release, because we've got little thumb screws on the side that allow our RA and deck to rotate, and they're geared so they snap into set positions. So one of the things for me is once I go set it free so I can get my balancing correct and adjust the plate in the shoe, then I go zero it, tell it to re-zero the mount, and it's always a little off. So every day I've got to go out there and make adjustments to get my raw and deck back in. And that's been my biggest hang-up, where with the AVX, I could go and physically look at those reference lines and it was spot on every time.
Yep.
If I didn't move my mount, I didn't have to really hardly ever touch my raw and deck.
Wow.
But with the Ioptron, I'm finding I'm have to, and I'm sure as Eric gets more experience with his, we'll probably be able to get some feedback on that.
Have some conversation about that. Yeah, absolutely.
Once his doggy leaves him alone.
Yeah, no kidding.
Tighten alone, man.
Titan is being a brat.
Now, my dogs haven't bothered me at all. I don't know what they're doing, but I haven't even seen them.
Yeah,
God, I love him, but he is a big baby. He is a spoiled brat. So anyway,
How could I even come out?
you guys want to talk about targets?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't make it out to do any imaging on it. I was hoping to tonight, and I may still try setting up, but the Perseids are peaked today, this morning, but should still be fairly visible. I did manage to catch 5 this morning while I went out fishing.
Okay.
You know, they weren't super bright, but, you know, it was kind of cool. I would have loved to take my daughter out, but unfortunately waking her up at that hour is going to mean hell for the rest of us, so that didn't happen.
So let me see here. Let me share my screen here. Hey, let me know you can see it.
I can see Dan. I see your
You can see me?
rendezvous. I see his rendezvous. There we go.
All right.
There you go.
So much better background than that all white one, right?
I'm so proud of you.
Oh man. So, all right, top 5 target. These are my top 5 targets, at least what things that I would love to go after, or have already gone after. So we can talk about these. So let's go to the first one. Number 5, M24. So if you haven't had a chance, this is basically the massive Sagittarius star cloud. So this is, if you have a DSLR, this will be great for you, especially if you have those those 55 millimeters, 18 millimeter. This is a massive wide field target. If you don't have anything that can handle that type of this wide of a field, plan on doing mosaics. But they are gorgeous. It's a really cool. I mean, there's so many different targets that's within this star cloud. It's crazy. But it's one of those where I probably will have, I mean, even using the Roken in 135, I would have to do mosaics on this one. Next one, number 4, the Lagoon Nebula. So this is one that a lot of people have been imaging. It's a great summer target, fantastic narrowband. You get a lot of HA and O3 out of this. It's great if doing wide field because you can also get M20, the Trifid Nebula, in the same shot. And it's really, really easy to image. I think I have a shot of it right here. Yeah, not my greatest shot, but this was using the Rasa in the 294 MC Pro. And this was using the Bader ultra high contrast filter. So you can see the Lagoon Nebula here. And there's the Trifid right there. So I'm actually going to go after this one again because I know I can do this one a lot more justice. But it's a great target to go after. It's a big target, the Lagoon Nebula, so you can't miss it. It's a really fun target to go after during the summer. Okay, number 3, the Veil Complex. We were just talking about this one. I mean, we were all just showing off our pictures of this guy. So this one is a lot of fun. This has 3 separate targets that make up the Veil Complex. You have the Western Veil, known as the Witch's Broom, Pickering's Triangle, and the Eastern Veil. And this is what they call a supernova remnant. And this is a great region full of hydrogen alpha and O3. And I don't know about you guys, the Eastern Veil kind of reminds me of a xenophobe from off of Aliens. So, you ever watch the movie Aliens? Yeah. Doesn't that look like an alien? The head of the alien?
A little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Little baby alien. So here's the Eastern Veil. And this was taken with my L enhance and the White Cat 51 and also using the ASI 294. Pickering's Triangle and the Western Veil, also known as the Witch's Broom.
That's become my mother-in-law's new favorite one.
So this is a great target. Wide field, it's fantastic. It was great with the White Cat, but even using larger aperture scopes, like a 70 millimeter or even 100, and it's a fantastic one to go after. So that's number 3 of mine. Number 2, Roophi. This has to be by far one of my favorite targets, IC 4604. It is a lower sitting target. It's usually only at running around 24 degrees, but it has a beautiful combination of bright and dark nebula. And personally, I think this is probably my favorite, and it's probably one of the best wide field targets in the summer sky. So I would highly recommend, if you haven't gone after this, it's probably going away now and getting too low. We get closer in August and September, but I believe the best time to go after this is usually sometime in June, maybe early July.
Yeah, I think you can get it late May through mid-July.
Yeah.
Ideally, in the Northern Hemisphere.
In the Northern Hemisphere. So it's like I say, it's a low one, but it's a lot of fun. And lastly, for me, and there's my shot of Roophi. If you've never seen it, it's just beautiful. Because here's Antares. You've got M4. You got a couple Globula clusters out here, and there's just you got dark nebula out here. You've got, there's so many things in this target. It's just, and this is, like I said, this is with the 135. Just imagine if I used a even shorter focal length. Like a 55 millimeter. This would have been insane. And this star field is dense. It is a really hard background to calibrate out, to do background calibration, because it is so dense.
It was actually the target I had planned on trying to shoot for doing my shootout, but unfortunately I don't have a southern exposure. That I could shoot for more than about an hour. So I opted on the Veil Nebula in order to be able to get the color, and it happened that the Veil Nebula also was very perfectly suited for doing the L Extreme shootout.
Yeah. And so this one is a lot of fun. This is what I consider more of a broadband type of a target. So I use the L Pro. But it's just a lot of fun. So if you can get this one, I would highly recommend it. There are so many others I know. There's one just above here, the Blue Horsehead Nebula. That is really that is just gorgeous as well. And finally, my number one target is the Eagle. The Eagle Nebula M16, and it's all about the pillars of creation. This is, for me, this is why, you had the Hubble palette, because of those pillars of creation. This is great for longer focal length scopes. So if you have scopes like 900 millimeters or higher, to get really a narrow field of view, to get to the pillars, get deep in and look at the pillars, this is one to go for. So this is one I actually did my demo of the SHO palette using a one-shot color and using the L enhance. So you guys have seen this one. So this is just an awesome. This is not with the L Extreme. This is actually the L Enhance. And this was using the 126 millimeter, and this was the 533 that did this. So
what scope were you using for that?
These are the 126. It's
the 126. Okay.
Millimeter. Yep. So I'm sure if I had, say, an RC6 or an RC8, it would have been even better, to get really in there, to get that narrow focal length, to get right into the pillars here.
Now, would that work well with your RASA?
No, because it's much wider.
Oh, okay.
200 millimeter. So in this, I was shooting, this was at about 970 millimeter.
Gotcha.
So this one was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's one of the ones that Mark is working on right now. He posted in the chat. That's actually what he's trying to work on tonight.
So these are my top 5 targets. At least in my opinion, the top 5 you might consider going after if you have the. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun.
Now, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of data to go over because it's just been cruddy weather over the past couple of months.
Well,
you guys had that. What was that? Hurricane?
Yeah,
hurricane.
Isaiah, Jose, whatever his name was.
Isaiah.
I couldn't pronounce it. I tried to pronounce it. Isaiah, I think it's called.
Isaiah.
It's not Isaiah.
No, it's not Isaiah. Yeah.
Oh, something else?
I think it's Isaiah. Something weird. I don't know.
Okay, something weird. Okay.
I don't know, but whatever the case would be, yeah, I was at. And that's only the last part of it. I mean, we've had like some really bad runs of weather since like June. It's been a mess.
Okay.
And now that and plus I was dealing with the pier and stuff like that. So, but all I gotta say is the past 2 nights of imaging, Monday, Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Between Monday, Tuesday, I got about 12 hours worth of data.
Nice.
So, on the what was I doing? What the hell was I doing?
I don't know what
the Pelican.
Oh, Pelican.
Pelican.
Yeah.
So I got 12 hours worth of data on the Pelican in 2 nights. So I think I'm going to be getting a lot more data because I'm feeling more comfortable about sleeping while the scope is running. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be an interesting next 6 months before it gets freezing.
Well, and that's the thing that kind of frustrated me because I noticed, Eric, in most of your top 5 for this month, almost everything except for the Veil was southern exposure. So I miss all of that unless I go to a dark sky site or pay off a neighbor to let me plug into their backyard and put the scope in their yard. And then I would have to set up some sort of remote in to control it, to be able to check on it. Because I don't have the exposures with a 2-story house. Short of putting it up on my roof, it's not going to work.
No, I have to go to my dark site because I get to my south. I'd have to go into my front yard, and I get ranch houses, and I get the street lights and things like that. So I can't get really low. I mean, I can get Eagle, and I can get the Eagle, I can get Lagoon, but if any lower than that, like Roophi, I can't get it. I have to go to my my dark site to try to get that. But yeah, it's a lot of these are southern targets, are to the south. It's just especially because of Sagittarius. Sagittarius has just so many targets.
Well, and normally during this time, I would be out with Mark and a couple of my other buddies here from in town, and we would be out chasing Milky Way. But
Yeah.
we've had such a dry season here with all the fires. All of the areas that we typically frequent in the National Forest Land are all closed because people
Oh, wow.
aren't respecting the space. So we had 2 fires just in the last 3 days that have burned close to or over 1,000 acres. And they've luckily got on it fairly quick, but I mean, it's just been fire after fire after fire here, and so they've got everything
Wow.
locked down. So the 2 or 3 areas that we frequent over in the Queens Valley and Goldfield areas, and even going out into the Four Peaks wilderness to the north a little bit, it's all closed off. The areas that we would take the Forest Service roads off into the dark sky areas are inaccessible. So, luckily I've got the ability to image from my backyard, but unfortunately I haven't gotten a single Milky Way shot this year. Normally I'd storm chase during this time, so if it's crappy astro, I'd be out chasing the lightning and storms coming through
Yeah.
to get the
Storm
cloud
chaser.
structure and whatnot. Haven't hardly done it. I've had 2 or 3 invites, but I don't feel like running all the way down to the Mexico border to chase some of this stuff. So,
Go, man.
So besides that, right now, like I said, I'm going to go after the Soul Nebula and check that out tonight to get this L Extreme going and see how well I can do. Especially, I'm going to probably end up trying for 10-minute exposures, but I think I'm going to, I will, after we're done here, just grab my laptop, do a smart histogram check, and see how that goes. See what it tells me as far as good gain.
now are you going to shoot that with the 293 or
The 533?
533? Then,
Yeah, me 533.
just as a benchmark, I mean, the stuff that I shot was on the 2600, but it should be the same with the 533 because they're pretty much equal, other than sensor size. But the pixel pitch is the exact same and the well depth and everything. I was doing 10 minutes gain 0 at 0 Celsius.
Okay.
You saw the results I pulled. So
Yeah.
as a quick benchmark, if you don't want to go through and do that quick histogram check, start there. It'll be a good reference point. But yeah, definitely a 10
I
minute.
think I've got a dark library of 0, 100, and 101.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm gonna give those a shot. Let me see how well it goes. Got to turn on and because one cool thing is I love having this BlueStacks on the PC, so I can run the ASIA right here from the desktop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably
it's kinda-
should. I probably should load that because a lot of the times, especially right now, because I'm doing a lot of extracurricular stuff with a bunch of video editing. So
Yeah.
I might need to load BlueStacks here on my desktop that I'm running the show on, just so I can keep checking on it. Because normally I bring my iPad or even my phone. I'll pull the app up and leave it set here on my phone. I've got a little stand on my desk.
No, that's this is awesome just to be able to do something like this.
Yeah.
So you can do a little bit of multitasking and you can start getting, now that, it's 10 o'clock now. So we've been on for an hour now. So this is like the right time, especially because of using Telescopius. And Telescopius gives you a really good idea of where, the best time to image, the peak time. So I think it's around that time right now. So I'm going to go for it and get this thing going, and then I'll be very curious. So I'm going to I'm going to get my guiding going.
Okay.
And then I'll show you guys what we get here once I get guiding going, if you want to hang out here.
Sure.
Well, I am going to actually get my camera out of the freezer. George is asking me about my rotator. I'm selling my rotator.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm done with my 70 dark. I took 75-minute darks, and
75
and then
minute
hopefully-
darks or 75 minutes of darks?
75-minute
Oh,
darks.
okay.
Oh, 75-minute darks.
Like, wow,
Not
man,
one
you're really
75-minute
pushing it.
dark. I took a 75-minute dark today, man. But yeah. So I mean, overall, I mean, I think we got a lot of stuff coming up. We got Tom Bramwell, who's going to be on the show in 2 weeks. I think that's the 26th. I think it is.
Okay.
Oh, 29th. I think we're doing a Saturday for him.
Okay.
Because he's all the way out in California, I think. So he wanted to know if we could do a Saturday.
Okay.
Watch out for the date for that. And then the following month we still got Stacy Downton from Astro States, so we got her coming on. And then I'm still trying to lock down our third special guest for the next 3 months. So
did you want to talk about that? Did you want to talk about where we got featured this week?
What's that?
Did you want to talk about where we got featured this week?
Oh, shoot, that's right. I totally forgot about that. Thank you. So this issue was the first issue, and I know Mark had a lovely comment about it. Said something about 3 ugly guys, but we are in the Amateur Astrophotography magazine, and if I can get it, can you get it up, Jason, or no?
Yeah, let me try to pull it up here real quick.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know what that is, it's a digital magazine that gets put out, and he's starting to.
I've got it. If you guys want to see it.
You got it? Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, go on up.
Okay.
Goes back to a little funky.
We share here.
That's me.
Yep.
There we go.
Here it is.
Hit F11.
Yep. And it, here.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. And
Yep.
yeah, this was awesome when I first saw it. So this was really, really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely cool to be recognized. So again, if we've been doing this now for, I think this is week 6 since we've been back, maybe week 7.
Yeah, it should have been week 7, but we had to take a hiatus last week.
Oh yeah, the wonderful Isaias hurricane. The hurricane, believe it or not, it was the hurricane that wasn't. There was no rain.
It's just a lot of wind and spun up
a lot of
tornadoes, right?
We didn't have any on Long Island, as far as I know, but there were some in New York State that got some tornado occurrences. But I mean, it wasn't even as close to Sandy, and I didn't even lose electricity for Sandy. This one I lost it for 5 days.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, guys, I had a setting wrong, so we didn't hear part of what Dan was saying there, but the Amateur Astrophotography magazine has hosted our videos as part of their e-zine, and Scott, the editor over there, has been extremely helpful in getting us set up in that and helping kind of spread the word for us, so we deeply appreciate that.
Yeah,
that was my bad. We were trying to get things kind of rushed, and I forgot to get his audio into that.
You cut me off, man. You cut me off.
Sorry. That's what happens when Eric doesn't come on until 2 minutes before we go live. I'm scrambling trying to get all the shots reset.
Always.
But yeah, so if you haven't checked it out yet, go check out Amateur Astrophotography magazine. It's a really good resource for if you're looking for new products, different products, just some advice on targets or anything you want. Definitely go there and pick it up. Yeah, I think it's free for month to month, and I believe for back issues, I think it's like $10 if I remember right.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yep.
Yeah, something like that. But it's a really good resource if you don't know about it. So go check it out.
No, and we definitely appreciate their support and helping kind of spread what we're doing here. So, oh, Dan just dropped off.
Dan?
Yep, I just lost Dan. Eric. There, let's try that. So it's you and me for a minute until he comes back. I think, I don't know, maybe he got another hurricane coming through and knocked his internet out.
Oh gosh, yeah. But no, so I just got the ASIR going here, and we're just right now getting the guiding started, just get it calibrated and settled, stuff like that, and then I'll go ahead and take my 10 minutes. So okay, now just share here. If anybody's never seen, BlueStack or anything, so I'll show it to you here. This is BlueStacks, and it's a free Android emulator, and you can actually install the ASIR software along with Sky Safari Pro. This one you do have to pay for, which was kind of a bummer. So I paid for it twice. So I had to pay for it for Android, and I already had it for iOS for my iPad and everything. But it's $14, so it was fine. Huh? Yeah, you did. You did. So yeah, so no, yeah, I was just showing BlueStacks and doing the ASIR. And Titan is, wanting attention as he always does. But so right now, it's really nice because I plugged in coordinates off of Sky Safari towards a star just right in the middle of the Sol Nebula, and plugged information right into ASIR, and did my go-to and guiding right now. It's not bad. The guiding right now isn't bad. So, and the key it's the guiding's not bad. It's steadily. Usually, I was getting in the 0.6, 0.7. So this is pretty much what I was getting that I get off the CEM60. I would not get this off of the CGX. I'm just being honest. I would usually be just around 1 arc second.
So,
or maybe something higher than that.
So Eric, if you go into the guiding window, click to bring it up full. Go back, and there we go. So the one thing that I learned from Simon is you can actually adjust those raw and deck aggression. For my mount, I'm actually down at like a 15 on deck and 30 on the raw.
Okay.
You kind of have to play and figure out where you need to be. So don't take that as
but I can play around with it.
But what you'll end up doing is making those adjustments. Let it have time to kind of settle out as you're making the adjustments. But you can really dial that number in and flatten out that graph. You're going to want to pay attention to the total. But I've been able to get mine down with no wind and a good balance. I can get mine down to like 0.48.
Okay.
Total. So it takes some time kind of playing with it, but making those adjustments will really kind of find a happy medium.
Now, based off of, and maybe so too bad Simon's not on here, but maybe you can even answer this. Looking at your RA in your deck, and you're looking at your RMS error, because this is all in arc second or arc minute, I believe. Is it the higher? Does it depend? Because if you look at your corrections, and you're seeing your corrections here, is it usually when it's above or below? How do you dictate if you need to add or take down your aggression? Have you figured that out, or do you know?
I have not figured out that metric. I do know that the thing that kind of frustrated me initially was the RA and deck adjust fairly rapidly in the readout number that you're seeing there. But the total is the entire graph total. So it's averaging the entire graph. So like when you do a dithering, it'll spike to like 4, and it'll take it, a good, depending on your exposure interval and what your graph size is set at, it could take 2 minutes or better for it to clear and actually give you the average. But you can see there, just by making those changes, your average is down to 0.69. So as you continue to play with that and kind of figure out, I'm finding that the deck, usually for me with the Ioptron, settles at about between 0.3 and 0.4. The raw for me tends to fluctuate more, which makes sense. When it gets a little windy and stuff for me, I'll end up getting into the 1.1, 1.2. But when it's not windy and things settle in, I can get down to about 0.6, which at my peak I've been able to get down, like I said, 0.48 is my best for my total.
That's awesome.
But I am honestly surprised at how robust they've been able to get this. And you see you're getting down to the 0.65 range. And the kind of cool thing too with the ASI Air is it'll auto adjust the graph. You used to be able to manually choose the height of the graph, which you don't get to do now. It'll auto adjust based on the amount of fluctuation. But the end goal is to get those peaks and valleys to kind of level off. And that'll get you a better guiding. So, I mean, you can see already that the adjustment that we've made, you're getting down to the 0.6s, and I really feel that you can probably get that down to a 0.5, dropping that RA just a little bit more, and be a little bit more aggressive probably on the deck. But, again, it's going to take some experimentation.
Yeah, we can play, so I'll just play around with it here and just drop it.
And that'll change night to night, but overall it'll be a good baseline.
Yeah. And so, I still have just under 3 minutes here. And then we can get a quick preview here.
And you're doing that with the Extreme?
Yeah, this is with the Extreme.
Cool.
So this is going to be first light. So we're seeing first light that I'm doing with the Extreme. And I am at 0 gain. So I'm taking your advice here. I'm going to give this a shot here. At 0, and I'm doing 10-minute. So we will see how this goes.
And you see how nice it is being there in Chicago? You're at -10, and you're only working at 56% on that cooler.
No, right?
If I were to do that right now, I'd be at 100% and still only be at like -1. So it's 101 degrees out right now.
That's crazy.
According to my weather station here. George Lutch is asking, what's offset, Eric?
You know what? I don't know, honestly, because I don't use it.
Well,
it's also, we don't use it with the ASI Air.
Well, not only do we not use it with ASI Air, I believe, and Dan, you can correct me on this, but it's more of a CCD than it is a CMOS feature.
Offset?
Yeah.
No, offset and gain are the offset is not and gain has nothing to do with CCD.
Okay.
Well, actually, that's a lie. Gain is set by the manufacturer. Okay, you cannot make any changes to CCD gain.
Okay.
Software wise. Offset, there's no such thing as offset as far as I know on CCD cameras. I know that offset has something to do with gain with CMOS because I see the offset change the exposure.
Simon had explained it to me once, but basically that I didn't need it, so I ignored it.
Less than 0. Actually, he was asking what his offset was on the picture you're taking.
Oh, okay. Just wondering what his offset was.
Eric?
So let's take a quick look here. All right, 20 seconds.
What was that?
20 seconds. We can see what the first light is going to look like here.
No, George was asking what your offset is on the camera. I'm willing to bet because he hasn't adjusted it, the offset's going to be nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
And Eric, if you just click on the picture, well, you probably want to see the histogram, but it'll remove the histogram and all the other stuff around it. Just make it. No, just click on the picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there you go. That's
So there it is.
10-minute on the Soul with the Extreme.
Yep.
Okay. Very good.
It's not bad.
Very good.
You're seeing a lot of the cloud structure and gas structure.
Yep. Yep. That's going to be good.
That's going to be really, really nice.
Yep.
You get 6 more hours of that.
I can't wait to start playing with my Pelican. See what I got.
Well, and part of the thing for me is, like, in the testing, I was really concerned with, I didn't want to shoot an all-red nebula, an all-red emissions nebula, because it really wasn't going to show what the Extreme could do. Because you can get the red emissions nebula in any of the narrowband filters.
Right.
For the most part. So that's where I really struggled, because most of the colorful nebulas were southern exposure. So I happened to stumble across the Veil, and that's why I used it. And it happened that the Veil was almost exclusively in the same spectrum as the Extreme excels in.
Yep. So that looks, that looks pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, it looks pretty impressive. So now I'm just gonna mess around a little bit with my with the guiding a bit, but no. So I'm gonna kick off my auto run and take a look at telescope and see how long this is. Okay, so
Heart and Soul should be up most of the night.
It's gonna be up all night, so I can go up to probably about almost 5 o'clock.
I was gonna say, because that should be at about 50 degrees above horizon.
Yeah. Right now, because it was 10:23. It is right now somewhere around 27 degrees right now.
Okay.
26 degrees.
It's a little lower. That's right.
It's a little low right now, but I can to stick with this, and it'll be fine. So no, and what was kind of cool is that I was able to fill up pretty much the entire sensor with the nebula, so it filled it all in. So, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's the one nice thing with the 533 is for most targets with a fairly decent wide field camera or a lens, you're going to be able to get most of the celestial bodies in there. It's a little bit harder. Like Andromeda wouldn't fit, but
no,
unless you're shooting at 200 millimeter or less.
Yeah. Now, if I was using a Rokinon or something like that, then I can get it Andromeda in there.
Yeah, because I know
not with my 17, not with the 71, and I'm using the flattener. I'm at 336 millimeter.
Yeah, so like with the Space Cat and the 533, I can just barely fit it in, but I had to have the rotator to be able to get it so I can kiss the corners.
Yep. Because if I'm doing that Space Cat, if I'm doing that cat, so 51 millimeter. And if I'm looking at Andromeda, then Andromeda's in 31. Yeah, because I can. Okay, I can. Yeah, if I'm using the Space Cat, then or the White Cat, I can fit it in there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it'll just fit with the 533 in the Space Cat.
Yeah, because I'm looking there. If I see here, and Telescopius. So, yeah, because this is right now, this is with the White Cat and with the 533, I can get right there.
Yep.
I can get it all. So, and I think that's what is that, M101?
No, I forget what.
No, not 101. That's not 101.
No. It's an NG. It's a.
Is it in the?
It's an NGC.
Is it NGC?
Yeah.
Okay. But hey, I haven't gone after Andromeda this year, so maybe my next target. You know, is when it gets darker, I'll put on the L Pro.
Yeah, that'll be a better winter target.
Yeah, it is.
You know, when you
Because
want
right now, because actually it's pretty good right now because it's around 10 o'clock and then it peaks.
It's good. It's good. It's good. It's better for us than it is for you.
Okay.
Jason.
Yeah, I was gonna say
So,
for me, I can shoot it, but I have like a 2-hour window to get it.
Yeah.
Which is nice because it's so bright, so you don't need a ton of time on it. But
exactly.
No, so from where I'm at, I can if I wanted to, I could go all night with it.
Okay.
I'll show you this. I just pulled up one of my Pelican raw shots. Let's see, and this is just literally a 1 5-minute shot.
I got you up, Dan.
And there's the Pelican.
Nice. Yeah.
And again, that's 1 5-minute shot.
No.
Okay.
And that was been one of my fun targets because I've been shooting it in the North American Nebula, which is just below it, which you can just see part of it there.
Yeah, right here.
Yep. Yeah. So shooting that with the ASCAR has been a ton of fun. Now, granted,
I'm sure.
For being OSC, it's a very heavy red. I'm sure if I did the SHO false mono, yeah, I would get more detail.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I'm going to put it all together. I'm going to put the, whatever, it's 10 or 12 hours, whatever I got together tomorrow. I think I'm going to play around with it. We'll see.
Yeah, I get to spend the next 2-3 days editing, and I've got a video shoot tomorrow night, so I've got a
Good thing you keep them busy.
Yeah, you know, helping out my wife's church, and they're keeping me on my toes. So
I'm sure they are.
Yep. Well, and I'm fortunate that I've landed a job. It's going to take me 2 weeks into Miami, the first 2 weeks of September. So I'll talk offline with you about that. But
that's fine. Yeah.
I'll be doing a virtual meeting for 2 different clients at the same soundstage in Miami the first 2 weeks of September. So I should still, I'll find out a little bit more detail tomorrow, but I should be able to still produce. It just might not look quite the same because I'll be doing it from my laptop as opposed to from here at my desktop in my office.
Gotcha.
Aboard the
did they
ISS.
hear what I said about YouTube, or did I cut myself off when I announced the membership, the subscribers?
I think you cut yourself off.
Yeah, so I didn't. Well, we hit 400 subscribers 2 days ago, so that's a good thing.
That's huge.
So appreciate everybody. Yeah, appreciate everybody supporting us. So thank you so much for joining us at AstroWorld TV and showing that you want to see more. And I know Eric, do you have another video coming out?
Yeah, I am going to be working on another video on a couple other targets. So stay tuned for that. I am actually working on a project with the Shark Nebula, and I have a nice little backstory behind that one. So so stay tuned for that one. That one is it's been a little bit of a tricky one to get right now with my CEM 60 because I've been waiting on my counterweight so I can use my RASA again. Because I'm only using right now. I've got an 11-pound counterweight that I bought that came with it that the gentleman sold it to me. He had an 11-pound counterweight, and so I'm getting the 20-pounder net tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to it so I can get to work on it, and then then I'll share that video. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead.
I'm hoping if I can get some time before I take off on the 31st of August to get one more video out. It's probably going to be a kind of once-over on ASI Air.
Okay.
If I don't do that, I'm going to try getting some stuff pulled together, and it'll be a little bit shorter video, but it'll be a different shootout on the L Pro, L Enhance, and L Extreme. I just got to reshoot some data.
And I got my part 2. If you guys haven't seen the part 1, I got part 2 of the SGP tutorial. that's coming out probably, I want to say this weekend if I can get it all done. You know, because it should have been out last week, but with the power outage, it kind of threw me back a little bit. But it threw me back 5 days. But so yeah, I mean, we've been on for what, 2.5 hours?
Yeah, so I think we're good.
Yep.
So so just remember, in 2 weeks we got Tom Bramwell coming on from Primalucci Labs. We'll come out with you know, we will definitely have an update spot. You know, I didn't do it this week obviously because I did it 2 weeks ago. You know, we'll have an update and we'll talk about what we're talking about next week. And I think that's it. You guys got anything else?
No, that's it. So thanks again for all the support for Astro with Eric, you know, and all the great feedback and comments as well. You know, 400, you know, subscribers here. Let's keep going, man. I know we can get there to 1,000. So let's just keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, again, thank you so much for showing the support. That means a lot to all of us, and it keeps us going. So thank you so much. And on that note, I mean, I guess we're going to say goodnight. Eric's going to do some imaging. I'm going to go to bed and get my camera out of the freezer. And that note, just keep imaging, keep educating, keep having fun, and have a good night. And we'll see you next week on AstroWorld TV. So have a good night, guys.
Good, Scott.